how to pick the best rear lights for the riding you do. In this video, I'll test the brightness of lights old and new. Okay, well, I have to admit, that is a surprise. And I'll look at some of the new app-connected lights. So there we are, both pulsing, so they're working together. I've been experimenting quite a lot this winter, and I'm going to share with you what I've learned. I have been offered quite a few different rear lights to try. I think some businesses regard giving them to folks with YouTube channels as part of their marketing strategy. Normally I say no, very politely, but the Cliq caught my eye, and I'll tell you more about this later. But this did get me wondering why we all seem to want something different from our rear lights. Because there are so many bike lights out there, there's no way one video could review them all. But it strikes me that what I would want if I was commuting in an urban environment is different to what I'd want if I was riding weekends in a suburban area, or riding off-road, or somewhere very rural like this. First though, two omissions from this video. The Cycliq Fly, or any other rear light with a camera, because you picked that for the camera, not the light. Also the Garmin Varia, because you picked that for its radar. I'm told great things about both of these, but it's their unique features which would make you choose them, not their light quality. So I'll base this around 4 lights. I'm a huge fan of keeping things simple. The more complicated, the more likely to go wrong. So my first choice is the Exposure Blaze. This one is more than 10 years old. And I've spoken to Exposure. While they have new ones with more tech built in, their output's going to be the same. So it's a fair comparison. It has never failed me in any way, fallen off the bike. It does have a special charging cable, it's not USB, and the flash patterns can be a little complicated, but it's good. My more recent favourite is this Cat Eye X. It too has been superseded by the X2. The new model uses modern chip-on-board COB light-emitting diodes, LEDs. What I like about this is the two sides can operate separately. One static, one flashing, for example, or both static. The USB cover isn't great. Water can get in, and it also turns itself on in your bag when you're travelling. These are the two new ones with fancy built-in tech that you operate through an app on your phone. This is the Cliq. It uses 3 standard LEDs with lenses behind them to focus their power. And this is the SeeSense Ace. Now it uses COB LEDs, so you can get more output from a smaller area. The phone apps allow the adjustment of the flash pattern. They can also be set to get brighter as you brake, and that could be handy in an urban environment, less so out here. And both have movement alarms built in as a theft deterrent. This is the sort of stuff we're going to be looking at. Sean and I each took a Cliq on our Loch Ness 360 ride in case we had to cycle in the dark, so I tested a feature that allows multiple Cliqs to synchronize flash patterns. Let's see if we can get them to synchronize. I'm not sure how I do this, but we'll... So there we are, both pulsing, and you can change the pattern. So they're working together. It's going to be handy. I think this could be very useful if you're touring with others or on a longer group ride. I wanted to test the movement alarm when we went into a cafe, but the Bluetooth range just wasn't far enough, and the alarm sounded before I got inside. I've done a series of tests with both those lights to test their Bluetooth range, and I get about 40 meters in roughly a straight line. But that doesn't happen if you go into a cafe. Stuff blocks the Bluetooth, so I'm just coming around the corner of our house here just to see, wonder how far I can get before. Right, that's the Cliq that's let me know. Yeah, the Ace is not in range, but it does not tell me that it's not in range. It hasn't sounded. So my conclusion there is it's not a fantastic range if you were going to go indoors to a cafe. And at least the Cliq lets you know that it's out of range, and the SeeSense doesn't. They all fix to the bike with elastic bands. The Exposures is excellent, has never failed me, but would be easily replaced. The Cat Eye band looks flimsy but hasn't snapped, although it's not angled. The Cliq and Ace use a similar clip that allows positioning at different angles. One for the seat post, one for the seat stay, and that's really useful if a bike pack is taking up all the seat post space. I have read reports of clips snapping, but I've had no problems despite using them very roughly. I've been riding with these for a few months, comparing them during daytime and night. I've mentioned them in a couple of videos, but given their job is to enable you to be seen, what should they do? A lot depends on the laws of the country that you're riding in. For example, in Germany, flashing lights are reserved for emergency services. But this study into the effectiveness of rear bike lights found that a flashing light on a seat post was noticed at 3 times the distance of a static light, which some drivers thought was a moped. Better yet, heel-mounted lights were even more noticeable due to their dynamic quality. But there aren't so many of those around. So I draw from that I want a rear flashing light. But I like 2 lights, partly for backup, but mainly because I think a second one adds visibility. If I rode in any sort of urban environment, one of those would definitely have a built-in radar. The other, possibly a camera, but I don't, so I am looking for the Brightest. I've set up the 4 lights at a similar angle to what they'd be on my seat post. I've tried them in daylight, at dusk, and completely dark. I look directly in line and also off to one side. Having walked off to one side, the Cliq is the dimmest. That's again because of the focusing that the lenses do. So as I go back in, I think you might be able to see this. You'll be able to see which is the brightest. You can see it's coming from that top corner. Yeah, it's that one. And that is the exposure blaze. Okay, well, I have to admit, that is a surprise. I didn't think my oldest light would be the brightest one on that test, even off to one side. Well, this has been a very useful test. I'm now going to try and pull all this together. Just before my conclusions, I'd like to say a quick thank you to these people who have joined the channel and become members of the production crew and adventure crew. I'm hugely grateful for your support. If you'd like to know more, click the join button below any video when this is over and I'll pop up and tell you all about it. Thanks again. My main conclusion is how similar all these lights are, despite the lumens of different values that they advertise on their packaging. Any of these are a good selection. But my first choice is going to be my decade-old exposure blaze, which I would put on pulse. I like it for its visibility and the fact it's bomb-proof. It just keeps on going. Cat Eye would have been the second light because of the side visibility, and the newer generation from Cat Eye, the X2, is brighter with its COB LEDs, but it doesn't have the extra features of the other lights, which I quite like. So my second choice of light is going to be between the Cliq and the SeeSense. And the COB LEDs of the Ace put it ahead. It has better side visibility than the Cliq, although the movement alarm isn't that great, so you have to keep an eye on the Bluetooth range. What's more, a new, larger SeeSense, the Icon 3, is on Indiegogo, and I've put money down for one which will be here in April, and that will be my second light. I will offer to return the 2 lights that I've tested for this video. As ever, I don't claim to have any particularly special knowledge, and if you have some lights that you think, well, everyone else ought to know about, please mention them in the comments. Tell us why they are so good, and then we can all share from your knowledge. If you found this helpful, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.